Yeah, today's, I think it's being recorded. Yeah, I'm recording this particular class. And the reason as to why we record classes is simply because there are so many reasons as to why the classes is recorded. Reason number one is because some people might join us late because of one reason or the other, and therefore they would want to know what we have covered and what we have not yet covered. Or maybe they want to catch up with us, and the only way that they can catch up with us is doing a recording and then putting that recording later after this particular class. Secondly, there are some people who might not be able to join us because maybe they have not paid their fees. Some of them are sick. Some of them have got personal problems and so on and so forth, technical problems and so on and so forth. And maybe they want to know what we were taught. And therefore we record and we put that recording so that they can listen to the recording later and they are free. Another reason is for authenticity purposes. Somebody might come saying that, of course, we have very funny students who will say that you are not taught that. Hiyo hatukufunzwa. Public speaking and presentation, the teacher did not teach us. And they try as much as possible to prove and to provide proof from whatever platform that they can or from whatever records that they have. So the reason as to why we record is for such issues. We can go back to the recording and we can play the recordings again for such students or for such kind of people. So those are the reasons why we do recording and we post them on WhatsApp. Again, there is what we call subscription. You can subscribe because once we record, we put them in the YouTube. So for you to get these recordings and many more, you can subscribe to those particular to that particular channel. Once you subscribe, anytime a recording is put there, you are going to be notified. If, for example, you were late to come to class and you didn't know, or maybe if there are some misunderstanding that happened and that particular day you're supposed to have a class, I believe that the YouTube will be able to alert you that there is a recording that has been put there and the type of a recording that has been put there. So it is always good to subscribe to that particular channel so that you can be updated if at all there is any update. Now that is that, and therefore, and when you look at from topic 1 to the last to the last topic, which was topic 4, you can see the recording. After class link, there is a notes, and after notes, there is always a recording. And it is even indicated recording, topic 5 recording, topic 6 recording, topic 4 recording, topic 1 class recording, and so on and so forth. So just know that for those people who are joining us or who joined us last week, we also have a recording. Again, something that I want to say here is that I believe that last week I gave an assignment that was running for 2 weeks consecutively. That is from 21st September to 6th October. 21st September to date 6th October. That was date 6th October was on a Wednesday, last week Wednesday. Now that assignment, from my record, I can see that we have 187 students. We have 187 students and only 135 students did the assignment. Only 135 students did the assignment, and we are a total of 187. So if you didn't do the assignment, continue with that behavior, you will sow. I mean, you will reap what you sow. If you sow nothing, that is what you will reap. I don't have much to say, just to remind you. Come next week. Is it next week? Today we are in week 6, week 7. Week 7 will be next week. Next week, you're going to have assignment 1, cut 1. today, this week is week 6. So next week, you're going to have cut 1. You will have cut 1. I'll think on how to administer that cut, and I will let you know through the group. For those who don't have any group, if you have not joined our group, our WhatsApp group, Bina kindly share the link for them to join. And when a link is shared, wacha kuandika vitu zingine hapo chini mingi. Mpaka yani the most important news or the most important information is being overridden by the comments and so many things. Salamu na vitu zingine hazina mwelekeo. So make sure that you share that link for those who have not joined, to join that particular WhatsApp group, because I'll be communicating using the WhatsApp group that have already been joined. I mean, that have already been done. Unless there is a question, me will stop at that point so that I start on today's topic. I want to start on today's topic, and I hope you can see what I have shared. Maybe we can confirm from some few individuals. Doreen, can you see my screen? Doreen CBM. Doreen, unaweza kuona screen yangu? Huyu hata hayuko hii darasa. Doreen, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's confirm from another person at random. We go to Kasioka Jeremy. Jeremy, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I also hope that you can hear me. Those who cannot hear me, sasa watu tumesema ya kwamba nini link ikisheiwa ya nini, you stop talking, so you stop typing things. When a link has been shared, stop saying so many things. Stop saying so many things so that people can join using that link. I've shared that link. Kindly use that link to join the WhatsApp group if you are new to this particular class. So not say much. Allow me to start my class. We have quite a lot to share, to do what? We've quite a lot to cover. Now today's class or today's topic, we are going to focus on public speaking and presentation. So we will start with the public speaking and then we will finish with what we call presentation. And when you talk about public speaking, the purpose of public speaking, we have various reasons as to why we have public speaking. So the purpose of public speaking, like every other good story, when you talk about public speaking has got a purpose. Public speaking has got a purpose, and like every good story, every public speech should have a purpose. Every time you're having a speech or you are giving a speech, your speech should have a purpose. And it is often called the thesis. A purpose for every speech or a purpose for anything that you want to to do is usually referred to as thesis. That is the main idea. So the purpose is the one that will control the development of a speech. Like for example, if the purpose today is to educate people on how to do what? On how to avoid unwanted pregnancies. From that purpose, we are going now to have the development of the speech is going to take place. We don't know how it will develop, but it is from the purpose that the speech will develop. So a speaker may even repeat or rephrase the purpose to make it clear. A speaker may rephrase a speech, or he may rephrase his words. To rephrase is to put it in another perspective or in another angle, so that the purpose is clear on the eyes, on the ears, or as far as the audiences are concerned. So a clear purpose usually does two main things. A clear purpose helps the listener understand all the information. When you talk about a purpose, every clear purpose, it helps the listener understand all the information. I don't know that you have been in a meeting somewhere, and then one of your colleagues comes late, and he sits next to you, and then you hear him saying, wanaongea kuhusu nini? What are they talking about? And then you tell them they are talking about a trip that will be conducted come December. Oh, they are talking about the trip. Now, from when you tell your friend like that, or maybe a visitor, or maybe a person who comes and sit next to you who was not in the meeting, that person is able to connect now the dots and understand what is happening. Because when the first time he joined that particular meeting, he was not understanding what was happening because he didn't understand the purpose. Now that you have told they are talking about a certain thing, now he can now connect the dots. So therefore, we can say the thesis or the main idea will help the listener understand all the information that is being given. Number two, a purpose will help the speaker stay on the topic. Whenever I'm called to speak about something as a lecturer or as a public speaker, I'll be able to do what? To stay on the topic. Maybe I've been called to speak to girl child about what? About when you talk about maybe female genital mutilation, or maybe they have been called to speak about what? Technology, advancement of technology in education, and I've been called by Zitec University, or maybe Kenyatta University of Agriculture. Kenyatta University or Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Now that I know the purpose, it will help me stick to that particular point. I will not deviate from the purpose. I will stick on that lane. So therefore, we are saying that a public speech has one of four main general purposes. Every public speech usually have got purposes. And purpose number one of a public speech is to inform. Anytime you hear that there is a public speech, or maybe you've heard of these prominent people, Barack Obama is coming to Kenya, and he will be giving a speech at Taifa Hall in the University of Nairobi. Just know that that speech he doesn't just give a speech for the sake of giving. There are some purposes, or there is a reason as to why that prominent person is giving a speech. So number one, we may have to give a speech, or we can give a speech so that to inform. You want your listener maybe to understand something. Maybe you want them to understand about COVID-19. If they already know something about your subject, sometimes you realize that your speakers, they know about what you're going to talk about. You may even help them as a speaker to understand what you're talking about better. For example, we are talking about public speech. Some of us know that public speech is just you stand and you speak to people, to a multitude of people. But that is what you understand up to that point. But I want to make you understand better. For example, suppose, for example, you have a special talent for taking pictures of pets. Everybody knows that you have a special talent. So you decide to give a speech that will teach that skills to others. So the purpose of your speech then is to do what? Is to inform through the facts, through methods and examples that you describe. Your listener will be able now to do what? To understand how to take pictures. Of course, they know that you are a good photographer. Of course, they know that. But now, that aside, you want to teach them something extra, how to take photographs of maybe pets. So sometimes we have or we make speeches so that to inform. Secondly, we make speech to persuade. The speeches that you are seeing these politicians making, especially in Mount Kenya region, umewaona sana sana, those people who are very good in following the news or in watching news. For the past 4 days, these politicians, those who are planning to vie for presidency come 2022, you have seen them in Mount Kenya region and in Central Province, trying to persuade people to vote for them or trying to sell their manifestos to people. That one, the purpose of that is to persuade or to lure people or to convince them that when it comes to election, elect me. I'm going to ensure that you have good things. So you want to change the listener's mind. Maybe, for example, right now you are saying, I'm going to vote for politician A. Maybe towards the end of the elections, because elections are going to come to an end, you will say, initially I said I'm going to vote for politician A. I think I'm going to change my mind. The way politician C is taking us, I think I would vote for politician C. And that is how it is. That's why they do campaigns every now and then, to convince you, to change your mind. You want them to agree with you, or they want you to agree with them. You may even want them, or they may even want you to take some action. Imagine, for example, that your school does not open the gym in the morning. There is an example here. Imagine, for example, your school does not open the gym in the morning before classes start. So you'd like the gym opened an hour before the first class. So you feel you have several good reasons for changing this policy. And then you decide now to give a speech to convince your classmates to agree with you. You also want them to help you convince the principal to change the policy. So the purpose of your speech is to persuade your classmates so that they agree with you, and so that you can all go to the principal's office and tell him, now, can you change the policy? Be opening the gym 1 hour to the class, instead of saying that the gym will not be opened at all until in the evening. That one is not good. I think when you exercise in the morning, your day starts well. Of course, you'll be persuading the principal, other students, so that you can go together and inform the principal to do the necessary. Huyu mwenye ametuchorea vitu hapa kwa screen na ni mwanafunzi wa CJMS. Tafadhali kuwa na adabu. Tutolee hizo marines umetuwekea hapo. Number 2 is to entertain. Sometimes we do what? We give speeches in order to entertain. You want your listeners to enjoy themselves. Kindly, that person who is doing this, can you rub those lines?
Mwalimu anatuharibia screen. Anatuharibia screen, hatuoni notes.
And very disrespectful.
Yes.
That person ambaye anatucholea hizi lines anatuwekea hapa. Utuondolee hizo lines mara moja. You are very idle. You are not even listening, because you cannot listen and at the same time you are doing this. So it's to entertain. So you want your listeners to enjoy themselves. Sometimes we do what we call give a speech in order to entertain. You want your listeners to enjoy themselves. You want them to forget the hard day that they had. Maybe somebody has had a very hectic day. Somebody has been up and down. He has been carrying. He has been working so hard. You may even want them to see the funniest or the funnier lighter side of an issue or event. For example, you are told, suppose you decide to give a speech about the first time you rode a horse. Maybe you are giving a speech the first time you rode a horse, or the first time you attended a driving lesson or a driving class lesson. And then you are told, now Let me pick one of you. Mueni Mutua. Now you are going to drive this car. Maybe it is a very busy super highway and the instructor is there. You are seated next to the instructor and you're told now, weka ufanya namna gani, washa gari. Kanyaga brake. And so on and so forth. How was it? So you may remember some funny things. You are told kanyaga brake, ukakanyaga mafuta. And the car was revving and so on and so forth. So when you describe this experience, maybe you want the listeners to be amused. You want them to be happy. You want to entertain them. Entertainment is the purpose. Entertainment is the purpose. Also, sometimes we give a speech to inspire. You want to inspire some people. Maybe there are people who have lost interest in life. Some people have lost what we call interest in life completely. They don't know the reason as to why they are living. They are saying, I wish I can die even now. I wish the earth can open up and swallow me. I don't see the value of myself being alive. Sometimes you can do that to inspire them or even to motivate them. Some people, maybe they perform very poorly in their academics, and you want to inspire them. Maybe by coming up with a story. Maybe you are like them initially when you are a student. When you are a student, you are like them. You had lost hope in life, hope in academics, and now you want them to learn something from your life experience. You give them a story that is synonymous to their situation, and then they learn something, and all of a sudden, they do what? They are motivated. Another thing as to why we give speech is for multiple purposes. For example, we have given an example here. For instance, you're being told, for instance, your main purpose may be to persuade your classmates to vote for Anne as a student council. That is your main purpose. Your main purpose is to do what? Is to persuade your classmates to vote for Anne or to become a student council. So to do this as a student, you may also need to do what? To inform them about Anne. So number one, inform them about Anne. Anne is a fourth year student at the University of Nairobi. She's 15 or 17 years old. Or you may even want to entertain them. Remember, you have informed them about Anne. Number two, you want to entertain them to get their attention. You entertain them. Maybe you put a very nice music by Zuchu or by whoever or by Diamond. You put some very nice, very good dancers to dance for them. That is entertaining. Again, after entertaining them, you may also persuade them. Remember, we said that sometimes you can do what? You can give a speech to persuade. You may also want to persuade them to vote for Anne as the next student council. So in other words, we are saying that a speech can be used to do what? To do multiple purposes. Like the politicians, the way they do when they are visiting our areas. Those who are going, they are going around the country. When they visit our areas, number one, they have to make sure that there is a very good DJ there. They have to make sure that there is somebody who is introducing them to you. This is deputy president, the deputy vice president. He has come, he has done, he has been in the government for like that. They entertain you and then they persuade you to vote for them come 2022 and so on and so forth. So in any speech you give, you must decide what your main purpose is, and the purpose is the most important one. And the purpose must be very clear. You just don't say, I'm going to give a speech to all the certificate students at Zitec University. What is the speech about? What is the speech about? You need to have your speech. You need to have your purpose, and your purpose must be very clear. In short, we say that the purpose is the main idea. It is, and it is what? It is the main idea, the thesis, or the main point, or the main reason. So from there, then we come to what we call types of public speech. There are various types of public speeches. This one I'm going to go very fast. Number one, we have impromptu types of public speech. We have impromptu speech. Wale hawajui kusoma hiyo jina, inasomwa impromptu. An impromptu speech is a speech that happens and the speaker, the person who is going to give the speech, has got barely no time to prepare. Like sometimes you visit, for example, some of you will be graduating whatever year you'll be graduating. And maybe after graduation, you may even want to have a graduation party. So you say, I'm not going to leave Mr. David outside. I have to invite him because he was the one who taught me communication skills. Maybe you're a CBM student or a CHTM student or a CPSM student or a CJMS. Unasema, hii graduation lazima, hii graduation party I have to call 2 or 3 lecturers from Zitech University to celebrate with them. So you call me. So me, I come to your party dressed in a casual way, and maybe with my family, or maybe with one of my family member. You know, I don't know whether I'm going to give a speech or not. And then all of a sudden speeches are given concerning how things have been since you started school until you have graduated, how tough it was, but you became tougher and you excelled in your academics, something of the sort. And then all of a sudden, I hear my name, Mr. David is my lecturer, can you come and tell us something? You see, you had not prepared me in advance. So that speech, the one that I'm going to give there, is called an impromptu speech because number one, I was not prepared to give a speech. Number two, you ambushed me. I thought I was coming to eat and celebrate and make cheers with you and congratulate you for the far that you have made. Then all of a sudden I'm told, Mr. Maina, come and give a speech concerning education or concerning what transpired since this kid started his academics, or since he started his education from certificate to maybe diploma or even degree. So that is called an impromptu speech. You have less time to prepare. In fact, you don't even have time to prepare. You're just ambushed. And sometimes we may even attend some meetings, and then we are seated and then you hear your name. Hey, unaambiwa, hey, Yusra, can you pray for us? And you are not even in a position to pray. You are thinking about other things. Maybe you are thinking about your friend, or maybe you are thinking about how your this celebration is going to be over and what next you're going to do. And then you hear, Yusra, come and pray for us. Or, Chepkurui, can you pray for us? We want to start a meeting, or we want to close the meeting. That one is called an impromptu. Even though it is a prayer, we cannot call it impromptu prayer, but any speech that you are told to give and you are not prepared is called impromptu speech. And people understand. When you're giving this speech, they understand you are not prepared. So whatever things you do there or whatever things you say there, they still understand that you are not prepared. Then we also have extemporaneous speech. In an extemporaneous speech, wale ambao tuangalie hiyo jina vizuri, inaitwa extemporaneous speech. An extemporaneous speech is a speech that at least you are given some time. You are given time to prepare for that speech. Like, for example, let me use the first example. You've just graduated from Zitech University with a degree or with a diploma. And now it is time for celebration. And you decide now you're going to invite your lecturer to celebrate with him or her. And when you do this, maybe you're doing it at a certain time, at a certain place, and something of the sort. You tell your lecturer, be prepared, that day you will give a speech. So the lecturer goes and writes something on a piece of paper. Maybe point number 1, I'm going to talk about my student. Number 2, I'm going to talk about discipline. Number 3, I will talk about this. And number 4, I will talk about that. Now, already the lecturer is prepared. So when you tell the lecturer, can you come and tell us something? The lecturer will be able to now to do what? To give a very good speech, an organized speech. That is called an extemporaneous speech. Then from there, we also have, there is another one, which we will look at later in terms of delivery, because you're told when you talk about extemporaneous speech that this type of speech is called, not that one. Yeah, it is called manuscript speech. It is called manuscript speech. Why is it called manuscript speech? Because you are reading from a piece of paper. You are reading from a piece of paper. Sometimes this manuscript is typed. And they are very difficult to present well. When you are reading from a piece of paper, it's very difficult to present well. I remember Kanzedena, there was a time he was talking about something. And he said, it will happen on, itafanyika tarehe 35. Unaona anasoma kwa karatasi peke yake. So unapata ya kwamba when you're reading from a script, it is very hard to present. It actually makes you like, what do we call it? You are sounding mechanical because you are reading. You cannot even give a joke. You cannot make it entertaining. It is directing you towards reading exactly what is written down. So when you talk about impromptu and extemporaneous speech, they are so popular that they are called special occasion speeches. So somebody might ask you in an exam, give 2 types of special occasion speeches. 2 types of special occasion speeches. So here, you're going to realize that audiences expect these speeches to take specific forms. And in these speeches, you're going to realize that there is always introduction and responses. We have this type of speeches, or we can actually say that each kind of special occasion speech serves one of the 4 general purposes of speech. Number 1, we have introduction and responses. And when you talk about introduction and responses, it's a short speech that introduces the guest speaker. I believe that you have been to some meetings. Also, you have been invited to some meetings, and you realize that there is introduction speech, whereby somebody stands and tell you this is so and so. Maybe he's giving you a speech on drug abuse, tells you that this person has been to University of Nairobi, studied maybe, for example, psychology, and he has done masters in psychology. He's also employed by maybe the Ministry of this and that, Ministry of Health, in the department of that. He has worked for 15 years at Mathare, maybe Mathare Hospital, in the department of all those things. You are actually introducing this speaker. And that speech is called an introduction and response speech. Then we also have what we call after dinner speeches. After dinner speeches is when, for example, your organization has invited you for a dinner. Maybe you are celebrating a certain hero. So after taking dinner, they are what we call entertainment, whereby you see now you are CEO, you are maybe head of your human resource manager, they are giving a speech and they are not serious. They are not serious when they are giving these speeches. And you laugh. You are laughing. There is a lot of humor and so on and so forth. Now, those ones are called after dinner speeches. Then there is presentation and acceptance speeches. Presentation and acceptance speeches are made when an award or a gift or honor is given. And here you are going to realize that the speaker only talks or explains why that honor has been given and why the person deserves that particular honor or that person deserves such a particular gift. So here, the speaker will thank the donors and the presenters and will explain the personal meaning of the award. Then we also have what we call commemorative speeches. Commemorative speeches are given to remember people or events. We may have a commemorative speech to remember maybe our grandmother, our father, maybe our grandfather. And we commemorate them because of the accomplishment that they did or that they made. So these speeches are usually given at the dedications, whenever there are some dedications, whenever there are some anniversaries, whenever there are some retirements. Mtu akienda retire, anaita marafiki zake, anaita majirani, wakuje washerehekee na yeye. Kwa sababu alianza kazi vizuri na amemaliza vizuri. Initially, when it came to government, if you are to go for retirement, they usually gave you a wheelbarrow and a spade. And when we investigated to find out why the wheelbarrow and why the spade, they said that the wheelbarrow is to carry what we call the soil, and the spade is to dig for your grave. Now, because now they have used you, you have no use now. The only thing that now is remaining for you is to die. So anytime, if you are a civil servant, anytime you retire, they'll give you a spade and a wheelbarrow. Sio zile za Ruto, they'll give you a spade and a wheelbarrow. So anyway, that is that's not part of learning, but sometimes we can have commemorative speeches. They are usually done during dedications, when you're dedicating your child, during anniversaries, during retirement, and sometimes even during baptism. There are people who value baptism so much that after a child has been baptized, then what follows is what we call celebrations. Mtoto tu ndio amezaliwa, ako na miezi 8 ama ako na miezi 6 ama miezi 3. Mnampeleka pale kanisani, especially the Catholic, and that child is baptized. Then what follows is what we call a celebration. You celebrate as though it's a very big accomplishment. So those ones can fall, and then speeches follows. And this is a very small child. Mnaanza kukua na speeches. Also, we can also call memorials. They're also done, when you talk about commemorative speeches, they're also given at funerals. And they are given in terms of what we call eulogies. We usually have eulogies in the funerals and also in memorials when you are remembering someone, maybe that you lost. So commemorative speeches are given to remember people or event. That is the point. And then we also have graduation speeches. Now, graduation speeches, they are not done at the party. You know, we have graduation parties and we have graduation. The speeches that take place during the graduation ceremony. Sasa zile mumekaa kule kwa tent, mkiwa mmevaa zile gown, na kuna watu hapa wanaongelesha, some technocrats talking to you. Maybe it's an MD from Nation Media Group. Maybe it is an MD from what we call Safaricom Kenya Limited. They are telling you how life is. Eh? Eh? They are talking about their past experiences, how they graduated. And after graduation, the question was, what next? Eh? And so on and so forth. They are talking to you that this life is not easy, that you need to be creative. You don't need to focus on being employed. You should focus on starting your own job and employing some people, something of the sort. There are so many things that are said during graduation. Those graduation, those things that are said there by some technocrats or some business people or some what we call some academicians or some philosophers, or some doctors and vice chancellors from other universities. Those are called graduation speeches. So when it comes to now your graduation party, that's something else. That's not a graduation speech that will be given. It's something else. So when you talk about, then we go to something else called delivering and presentation. Unless there's a question up to that point, before I go to delivery and presentation. Unless there is a question. Any question?
Mr. David.
Yes.
Is the extemporaneous speech
Allow
same
me to
as
enjoy myself. Yes, Nyambura Maina. I
yes,
think we share the same name. That's good. Yes.
the extemporaneous speech, is it the same as
Extemporaneous.
yeah, that one? Is it the same as manuscript?
Extemporaneous, yes, it's the same as manuscript because you are reading it from a paper. You can put it in point form, or you can just write a speech and then you read. You see the way Uhuru Kenyatta reads reads a speech during something like Mashujaa Day. Yeah, unasoma hivyo tu word per word, unamalizia. Na kuna wale pia wanaandika mpaka maombi. Umeitwa wewe ni padri mahali fulani, ama wewe ni pastor wa ni dhehebu fulani, alafu unaambiwa utatuombea hiyo siku. Unaandika maombi, unakuja unatusomea siku ya graduation, ama unatusomea siku fulani tu ambao umeitwa, ambao itakuwa na speech zinapewanwa, something like that. Kuna swali? Is there any question? Do we have any question before I proceed? You don't have to read those terms correctly for you to ask a question. I understand it is your first time. You cannot compare yourself with me. Hauwezi kusoma hiyo jina, sio kwa sababu, sisemi hauwezi kusoma vizuri. Unaweza kuisoma tu vibaya kwa sasa, kwa sababu labda ni siku yako ya kwanza kuisikia, lakini ukishaijua utakuwa unaisema mara moja. Extemporaneous impromptu, just like that. So types of delivery. I'm not going to look at types of delivery that much. I'm just going, because we have already explained them. The types of speech. The types of delivery comes from the type of speeches. Like for example, reading from a manuscript. That is extemporaneous. And then this is delivery. You are delivering a speech. You are giving a speech. How do you deliver? You can deliver by speaking from a manuscript. That is, something has been written. The whole speech has been written on a piece of paper, and then you are reading word per word. And then you will sound mechanical. Just know that. And you're going to sound very boring, by the way, if you are reading from a manuscript. But if you are giving it, if you are giving it, if you are giving a speech, like for example, impromptu, you don't sound mechanical. You are speaking something that is in your head and something that is in your heart. But when you are reading from a manuscript, you are reading everything. And you sometimes somebody might have written something wrong to you. Like we have given an example of Kanzetena saying tarehe 35, of which it is not. Now that thing trended a lot on social media because it seems that he was not thinking. She was not thinking. She was just reading what has been written for her. Then we also have another type of delivery is memorizing the speech. Memorizing the speech is you read that, I mean, you write the speech down and you memorize, just like we used to do when we were in high school, memorizing a poem or memorizing a script. Those who went through, who are doing drama in high school, you are memorizing a particular speech, or maybe you are memorizing a particular section. So the same case, memorizing a speech. You can memorize a speech, you memorize every word, so that when you stand there, you'll be sounding like what? So it involves writing out the entire speech and then communicating it to memory word for word. It has the same advantages for the speaker as the manuscript method. So we also have another way of delivery is what we call extemporaneous. Now, I think extemporaneous and reading from a manuscript, when it comes to delivery, they are totally different. But when it comes to types of speeches, they are the same. But when it comes to delivery, it's totally different. Because reading from a manuscript, no, we also have impromptu speaking. That is impromptu speaking. Remember, impromptu is when you have been called upon to speak and you are not ready. Or maybe you had very little time to prepare. So as you walk towards the podium, you are thinking, what will I say? What am I going to say? And then we have extemporaneous speaking. And here the speaker delivers a speak from notes. You have written some notes down. So you are delivering from the notes. Like for example, maybe you may commit some main points down, just like I had explained earlier. Umeandika 2 main points. Now you start with point number 1, you expound it. Point number 2, you expound it until you finish. And the disadvantage of this extemporaneous is that the speaker may stumble over or grope for words. You are looking for words to explain something. Something like that. Unatafuta words za kuexplain hiyo point ambayo umeandika kwa karatasi. So that is what is called extemporaneous speaking. But when it comes to what we call types of speeches, the extemporaneous speech has been put together with what we call the manuscript, reading from the manuscript. I hope that point is clear. Now, apart from that, let's look at the guidelines for delivery. You have been invited to go and give a speech. Maybe, for example, the speech is all about technology in education, or how you're going to apply technology in education. Number 1, you must be very careful on how you look. You must be very careful on how you look. Appearance, dress well and appropriately. Dress well and appropriately. Walk with confidence, look interested in giving that particular speech. Some people will be given a speech to give, and they do not even look interested. You don't look interested. You are so boring. A speech, you are giving a speech for, and you are going to realize those people who are very boring when they are giving a speech, they take so much time. But those who are interested, they take very short time. So in other words, you're told dress appropriately. Because if you dress inappropriately, people will not be so much interested in what you are giving. They'll be much interested with your dress. Maybe you are putting on a top that starts very late, no, very early and ends very late. Ni katop tu, wewe ni mwanadada, umevaa katop na hapa mbele umejaza kifua kweli kweli. So katop kameanza mapema sana na kanaisha haraka sana. Kametuonyesha mpaka kitovu, and you're giving us a speech. We'll be concentrating on those particular areas, not you. So appearance, dress very well and appropriately. Walk with confidence, and when you walk with confidence, you face the people. Some people will give speech while their heads are facing down, or they are facing down. Look interested in the topic that you are giving us. Because if you don't look interested, what of your listeners? What of your audiences? Do you expect them to look interested? No, they will be bored more than you are. Body movement, move purposefully between points. Move purposefully between points. And if you're always in you're always moving, then no movement should be made without meaning. So in other words, when you're moving, when you are walking, there are people who give stories when they are walking. Walk purposefully. When you're moving between one point and the other, let the listener know that you're in point number 2. Maintain eye contact. Maintain eye contact when you are talking to your people or to your audience. Also, keep in mind the culture of your audiences. There are some culture here that you're not supposed to face the old. Maintain eye contact with the old. That when you maintain that eye contact with the old, it shows some kind of disrespect. Kuna culture zingine tu hapa ni za kugandamiza tu watu. Hatufai kuangalia mtu mzee kwa macho. Maybe you are giving a speech and you have to maintain eye contact. It's very important that you maintain eye contact. But as you maintain eye contact, again, keep in mind the culture of your audiences. If they don't like you looking at the old straight in their eyes, don't do that. In some cultures, we also know, like for example, the American, if you don't maintain eye contact, it simply means you are lying to us. So you have to maintain eye contact. If at all you are doing what? You are presenting a speech to the Americans. Again, in the Islamic culture, it is wise to avoid eye contact with the opposite sex. In the Islamic culture. I don't know why. Sijui kama tuko na Muislamu hapa atuambie ni kwa nini. Tumtafute. Do we have Muislamu here atuambie ni kwa nini? Mohammed Osman.
And Yusra.
Acha tusikie Mohammed Osman. Osman Mohammed, you're doing CBM 86. Can you tell us why you should not maintain eye contact with the opposite sex? Yes, Hassan Mohammed. Go ahead. Tuachane na Osman. Hassan Mohammed. Hassan Mohammed, umeinua mkono na hautaki kuongea. Kwa nini unatuchezea? Tutafute mwingine. Kuna mwingine anaitwa Hilo Suleka. Hilo Suleka,